On August 8, 2005, 100 delegates from 14 countries arrived in Dawson City, the site of the Klondike Gold Rush, to inquire into the condition of the gold market. The following is a summary of their findings. Gold has been and remains money. The most important money in the world. The only immutable and lasting currency. Potentially the most powerful currency.
The United States military, when it packs the emergency kits of its fighter pilots, does not pack them with US dollars or euros or won or yen or any of the paper currencies. It packs them with these little things, 100-year-old quarter-ounce British sovereigns, gold coins. Why is that? That's because at all times and in all circumstances, this remains money.
Because the world has forgotten the monetary role of gold, our world is in serious, very, very serious trouble. That is the one major reason for the present worrisome state of the world. The abandonment of gold as money, of the discipline of gold, is the major reason, if not the only reason, why our world has become a very dangerous place.
The future of gold depends on the opportunity for gold to do what it has always done throughout history, namely to provide a neutral tool that people can use voluntarily without force or coercion as currency as we go about our business each day, participating in our market economy to fulfill our needs and wants.
Central banks have collectively suppressed the price of gold by the sometimes open and sometimes surreptitious dishoarding of their gold reserves.
You don't spend a lot of time on Wall Street or in the adventure capital end of the private equity business without running across rigged markets. In fact, if there was a price-fixing cartel at work, so much the better. A nimble outsider can make good money busting or riding cartels. But as I got into it, I learned the gold market was not like, say, amino acids or potash. Here, the price of an asset was being suppressed, not supported. And not by users, but by owners. And not for obvious reasons. I'd never run into this pattern before. If you own a lot of something, why run a cartel to keep its price down?
When you get a financial crisis, historically gold would respond rapidly. And it would be like a place of protection in a financial crisis. In the last 10 years, the central banks have effectively shown that when there's a real crisis, gold actually goes down. And then it's so blatant, it's a joke.
The confounding part about the manipulation of the gold price is that it's so obvious for everyone to recognize. As was mentioned earlier, in the summer of 1998, Fed Chairman Greenspan testified twice before Congress saying central banks shall lease gold in increasing quantity should the price rise. Ever since then, that's exactly what they've been doing.
We also know that the central banks have been rigging the gold price for a very simple reason. That is, we know because they and their intermediaries working to suppress the price time and again have told us so. After all, what was the Washington Agreement of September 1999 if not a proclamation of the 15 participating central banks that they were colluding to regulate the gold price? Central bankers are not the only ones in the gold business who acknowledge collusion to control the gold price. The biggest hedger among the gold mining companies, Barrick Gold, has gone so far as to confess in federal court in New Orleans to participation in this scheme. Sued along with its bullion bank, J.P. Morgan Chase, by Blanchard and Company, the New Orleans coin and bullion dealer. Barrick filed a surprisingly candid motion in court on February 28, 2003. Barrick moved for dismissal of Blanchard's lawsuit on grounds of sovereign immunity. That is, Barrick claimed that in borrowing gold from central banks through Morgan Chase, Barrick became the agent for central bank gold policy. That as the agent of central banks, the company could not properly be sued without suing the real parties in interest, the central banks, as well. And that since the central banks, as the agencies of sovereign governments, have immunity and could not be made party to the Blanchard suit, the whole suit should be dismissed.
Oleg Mozhaikov, the deputy chairman of the Russian Central Bank, in a speech a year ago to the bullion dealers, cited Gada's work about the suppression of the gold price. And he said, according to their work, if gold were to have kept up with inflation, gold would be between $740 and $750 US. That's the number 2 guy at the Russian Central Bank.
Central banks are suppressing the gold price to make their own currencies seem stronger and to build confidence in the international reserve currency, the US dollar.
I quickly came in contact with other people who'd homed in on Gada's beacon. They helped me to understand the bigger picture, that gold is money, real money, and as such poses a mortal threat to the fiat dollar-based monetary system. The preservation of the bank's power to create what we use as money is infinitely more important than the price of a portfolio asset. The only reason the banks held on, or pretended to hold on, to their gold inventories was to maintain their control over the market and to keep the exchange value down in relation to their competing paper franchise.
You don't need a conspiracy theory to know that the gold price is manipulated. The central banks have said we're selling gold. Now they're either stupid or they've got a good reason. I don't think they're stupid. So what's the good reason? The good reason is that they want to prolong the longevity of the irredeemable bits of paper that they issue as money. Simple as that.
Now, just the other day, I reread a statement that Prime Minister Blair made when the British began their gold auctions in 1999. And he was asked, why are you doing this? Blair said, well, I'm selling because it's a bad investment. Now, the bottom line is that looking back, the average price he got for the gold was $275 an ounce. That's a figure of public record. The price the other day was $438 versus $275 over a 5-year period. In relation to the performance of currencies, it wasn't very clever. So Blair's not stupid. So the chances are he wasn't being stupid, he was being dishonest. He was selling it not because he wanted to invest it into dollars. He was selling it because he was trying to do his friends a favor. Add to the supply, keep the price down, because the financial system at the time was under pressure.